So we're here in network security monitoring, and we got the tools in security onion. We're going to go through the graphical ones and the network consoles, and I must say, the end result of all this is it convinced me to pay for Spunk. As far as I can tell, Security Onion is the precursor for Spunk, and it remains the advertisement for Spunk because none of this stuff works. It just makes you sick. You can see how this is the stuff which turned into Spunk when someone poured millions of dollars into it and actually finished developing it. This is the beta testing stuff. So Wireshark is a good tool. That's the one I say is actually better than the commercial tools. So we all know Wireshark, and you've already used it in your process. So the problem with Wireshark is you can't leave it running all the time, and it's not good if you get too much data in there. But if you want to look at data sets, it gives you a very nice visual display, and you can follow, you can totally understand the protocols, you can filter traffic, you can follow streams, you know, and you can, it has a wonderful set of decoders that can decode every kind of network traffic in great detail. So I mean, it's very useful because there's a whole community of people supporting it, like Spunk. There's a whole community of people contributing stuff. You have to have a popular product, so there's a big club of people helping you, or these things all cannot keep up with all the changes. So you've already done this in Project 2, and you know, you can go and follow a TCP stream as one of the many cool features of Wireshark. So that's good to know. Now, XSplitGo is one of the tools in Security Onion, and you can do live capture, but it's not intended for that. It's intended to analyze saved PCAPs, and you manage it in a web browser by default, right from localhost. So you open your browser, and you see this XSplitGo, and it analyzes your capture, and then it cuts it down into objects. So here I got one video and 2,000 images and 4,000 GET requests and all that. So you can click this thing on the left, and you can see the stuff. So here you can go to the web and go to site, and it'll show you all the websites that have been visited. This is, I think, what most people imagine is going on with network security monitoring, that they know every website you're going to. And with XSplitGo and the other monitoring tools in Security Onion, that's absolutely true. It is recording every website you go to, and you can view these web pages, and it will reconstruct them from the captured packets, not by connecting over the web and looking at the current version. It'll show you what they saw at this time. And you can even go to videos here, and you can play videos. Although, when a student was doing this in a lab, we discovered it totally doesn't work because all this stuff is out of date, not updated. It relies on Flash. And nobody uses Flash at all anymore. And most browsers won't even let you install the Flash extension anymore. So it's very painful to get the Flash installed you need here. And if you do manage to somehow make Flash work in a modern browser, which is possible, although very painful, then you can see the video reconstructed from the package. But anyway, you can also see all the images here. This is something any forensic tool will do, but again, these are constructed from the packets. So you can see exactly what they saw. They opened some page that had many pages of pictures of luggage because they're shopping online for luggage. All right, so that's XSplitGo, yeah.
How it will behave if it is a HTTPS connection?
That's a very good question. If you have an HTTPS connection, none of this will work. The only thing I know you can do with HTTPS, you can modify your browser by logging the session keys, which is extremely insecure, and then Wireshark, you can point it to where the session key is, and it can open HTTPS. I don't know if these tools have that feature, but it would not be common anyway, because you wouldn't want to do that in enterprise class environments. The right way to do HTTPS is to man in the middle it, have a certificate, open it, and then put your sensor viewing it while it's decrypted. That would be the way to do it. Anyway, so Network Miner is another tool. All these tools do approximately the same thing, and none of them really work very well. Network Miner is incredibly cruel. They have a Windows version and a Linux version just to torture you. There is no Linux version. It is unbelievable. The book said the Linux version is slow. I started doing the project, I waited 2 hours, and it still hadn't imported a 50 megabyte file. I saw the Windows version, it installs a 50 megabyte file in 4 minutes. So the Linux version is 100 times slower, so why did they even make it? It is just there to torment you. So this is only a Windows product, and they lie and pretend to have a Linux version. It uses .NET, and apparently they did something like find some .NET portrait to Linux that runs 100 times slower. I don't know why they even pretend. Anyway, so you install it on Windows, and then you can open a file. I'm using a famous forensic tool called nitroba.pcap. It's been around for a decade or more. It's a standard one used for network forensics. It's the log of someone who's sending harassing emails and torturing someone at a college. I think it's all fake. I don't think it's real stuff. But anyway, this thing is awesome. In 5 minutes, it'll import the thing. This thing has a lot of data. It has 747 hosts and 4,000 files and 2,000 images. It's 50 megabytes of glorious network traffic. So you can see out here a whole list of hosts. You can scroll down and find them here. This particular guy here, 192.168.115.4, which is a Mac, had sent 34,000 packets. And anyway, went to many IP addresses, and you can see what they've been doing here. And you can see they have many browser user agents, so they're making a lot of network connections from various devices here, for various software devices that are identified differently. You can then go to the Messages tab, and you'll see the emails they sent. So here they are harassing their teacher, your class stinks, stop teaching, start running, you can't hide from us, you know, typical threatening stuff. And that's the idea. You're tracking down an online harassment case here with these network packets, and you can totally do that. So it's a pretty cool product, Network Miner. A lot of people like it. You can run it on live data or you can run it on stored data, and it will parse out these objects, which is pretty nice. All right, so then there's network security monitoring consoles. And I'm not going to have any cahoots today because my main lesson of this stuff is to not bother using it. So we'll see. So here's the network security consoles. SGUIL was the very first one. This is the GUI, the GUI, intended to go with Bro and other network monitors. Then Squirt was the improvement, but Squirt has been abandoned and removed from Security Onion, and they've gone back to the original one before it, which is a bad sign. And by the way, if you go to find out why nothing works flash-based in the previous one, you will find that the original developers have a website and there are forum posts there complaining about it from months ago that get no answers. So this is the problem with open source tools. If your open source tool is a hit, then there's an active community of people patching it and fixing things, and if it's not a hit, it just sits there and complaints pile up and nothing ever gets fixed and everybody goes off and uses something else. And that's what I see happening here. Anyway, SnoreB, SnoreB was removed, Squirt is still there, and Elsa was intended for Bro. And so you'll see these guys go, and they all do approximately the same thing, which is they do about 1/4 of what Spunk does, but they're free. So here's SGUIL. The main thing about it is it will have one line, instead of having one line per packet at the top like Wireshark, it has one line per event, and the event may involve many packets. So they call that simple aggregation. You'll have one record for what may be many packets. It lets you see metadata, you can do queries and review session data, and you can pivot to other views of session data. You can even pivot and it will open the data in Wireshark to let you see the raw packets, and that's pretty cool. So it tries to help you, make it easy for you to look at the network data, decide what's important, and analyze the part of interest in more detail. So you open it up and you see these events, and here it tells you the count of packets. So this event had 60 packets, this event had 1 packet, and so on. And I ran a Nmap scan to have something to look at here, and here it detected it as maybe 10 events. There's a VNC scan, there's other kinds of scans here because it's scanning many ports, and it detects each of these. When you select one of them, it shows you down here the source IP, destination IP in this layout that is like the IP and TCP headers. So it's all right. It's kind of cute, sort of like the Wireshark view. You can have queries. These queries are just written in what looks like SQL or something close to SQL, just like Snores. And if that, or just like Spunk, and this looks even more like Spunk. You have this long select up here. That's the raw SQL query that does it. So here you can search for Nmap, and you'll get this query that gives you all the things that were identified with the word Nmap in them. So it had about 10 events that came from an Nmap scan, and about 4 of them show up with the name Nmap in them. The others show up with different names. So that finds them, and you can right-click them and pivot to open them in Network Miner or Wireshark or other tools. And this is where you begin to realize how much it sucks. When you right-click it, half the time the right-click doesn't work. The other half of the time it gets stuck on the right-click. Like every Linux GUI I've ever used, every Linux product, the GUI does not work. The mouse clicks don't work. It just makes you want to cry. I think there aren't enough people to write games on Linux or something, so they just never bother to make the GUI work. Anyway, but you can do it to some extent. You can pivot and open things in Wireshark and other tools to examine them. Then there's Squirt. And Squirt's another open source one, of course, in Security Onion. This lets you see the same data you're seeing in SGUIL in another view. It shows up like this with very similar events down here, summarizing a line of traffic, and a graph of time or other parameters up there. And you can search, same way you searched before. So if you search for Nmap, it will find ET-scan Nmap, and there are 4 events like that. So, you know, it's essentially reproducing what the last tool did in a different layout. And SnoreB is gone. The developers abandoned it, and the developers of Security Onion removed it. So there are a few people online saying, where do I find it and install the old version or something? But installing the old version of an open source tool is too way out of the line. I wouldn't waste your time on that. And then there's Elsa. Elsa is the enterprise log search and archive, very closely tied to Bro. This is supposed to be the graphical tool to let you manage Bro. Bro is the new intrusion detection system from UC Berkeley, and it's a huge hit. It's supposed to be very powerful, also very complicated to set up. Until like 4 years ago, I heard a talk on Bro, and at that time they said, if you have any questions about Bro, you can go to our help page, and our help page consists of a search engine that lets you search through the source code. There, that should be it. I'm like, dude, are you kidding? And that's all the help there was for a while. Now, there's like Security Onion to give you some start. You're using Bro already without knowing it. Bro is recording stuff, and you can see it here. So that's pretty cool. At least you can have Bro without having to rep the source code to try to figure out how to make it go. And it is kind of cool. You get this thing on the left that shows you all these categories of events. So you can go to syslog and you can open programs, and it will show you what programs have been run and how frequently they've been run. So here you see cron is the most common program, because apparently Security Onion does Linux administration the way I do. They make everything a cron job, this is a really, really old-fashioned way to automate things. There are modern ways, but the wimps who just can't be bothered use cron. It's been around since the dawn of Unix. And you can make things happen every 1 minute or 10 minutes or every hour or every day. And it's an easy way to make things automatic. So obviously, Security Onion is doing it, and here's all your tools. But that's cool. You can see what programs have been run and how popular they were. You can see what IP sites have been visited. Although I couldn't find a way to see alphabetical domain names. But I did find the IPs that have been visited and how many times they've been visited, and there's a graph of them. So that would be kind of cool if you want to find, like, command and control servers or games that violate your company policy or whatever. And there's a search. You can just go up here, and I searched for Nmap again, and I found the same 4 events. Remember, all these things are working from the same data, which is there's Snort, Suricata, and Bro, maybe a couple other things, recording alerts, and something recording full packets, and all that's making a database, and all these graphical tools are letting you see that database. So it's really, they're all going to do essentially the same thing, but they're just presenting you with different options to filter through it and find the good stuff. So I went through all that, and I was just impressed at how much it totally did not work. Another thing that's fun is I had one student try to do the project. They installed Security Onion, and none of the sensors run at all with no error message. Just get nothing. On mine, it pops up a box every time you start it. 3 boxes say system error occurred. You just have to close them and keep going. It's really surprisingly far from a product you can trust. So when you're tired of just throwing your time away, you get Spunk. And I went through today and I found out all the cool stuff in Spunk is the Spunk Enterprise, which you can't get for free, but they have a free 7-day trial of Spunk Enterprise Security on the cloud. So if you actually, if I was your boss, I would never let you use Security Onion. I would say you are absolutely out of your mind. We would just pay for Spunk, because human life costs money. And if you actually use Spunk, you'll get the answer. So let's take a look at this thing. This thing is the cat's meow. So I put it here, and I had it open. Guess I'll have to open it up again. So this is, so your projects, I wrote them thinking we would follow the book. So I wrote these ones where you do these graphical tools and the network security consoles, but down here is Spunk Enterprise Security. So I add this as extra credit, and you can certainly do it if you like. I think you are not going to impress your boss by telling him you know how to use Security Onion. I think what they're going to want to hear is you know how to use Spunk. So I was real pleased to see that there's a free trial of Spunk Cloud. So here we are. Let's see if I'm logged in. I got to log in. Let's make a new trial. So free cloud trial here, but there's another trial over here of what? That's not it. There's it, Spunk Enterprise Security, which is awesome. This is the stuff I've been hearing about, and I couldn't find any free trial. And today I found the 7-day free trial. So this is awesome. So free is good, continue. And you don't even have to install anything. It's all in the cloud. Even with sample data, it's in the cloud. So this is awesome. So I'm not a robot. Start my trial. And I thought you would have to at least get an email, but it doesn't seem to me like you even have to. Oh, each customer is limited to only 1 sandbox. I have one already. Oh, they noticed. Oh, because I'm logged in. Okay, fine. Okay, so I'd have to log out. Anyway, that's all right. Let's see if I have instances. I figure out how to get back to mine. I was playing with it earlier today, of course. And let's see what I've got here. Submit form, instances, Splunk Enterprise Security, purchase, access instance. There we go. Authenticating, because I started my trial today. I have 7 days to go, so here we are. This is it. This is Splunk Enterprise Security. Remember, you control it through your browser anyway. So up here you got this stuff. So this is what I was hoping to do. I saw these videos. This is the cool thing, security posture. This is more like what I want to see when I do security monitoring. I don't want to see Security Onion crashing and trying to install the Flash player. I want to see this. These are how many things have happened. 440 access events, 9 network events, 7 identity events. All right, that's fine. Now these things are kind of worthless. I thought, let's look at this. Threat notables, identity notables. Gee, I wonder what those are. When I clicked on this, I was hoping to see what happened. Well, you get ripped off. Here's where even Spunk sucks. What you get is you get the query that gives you 7. I said, well, thanks a lot. I wanted to see the 7 events, and I can't find a way to do that. There probably is some way, but this was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
So that was not helping me at all. So let's not go that way. So those numbers at the top seem to just be ornaments, at least as far as I can tell. But maybe if you actually find a better tutorial, somebody will teach you how to get some good out of these numbers. But this part is pretty awesome. Notable events by urgency. Like, I have 8 critical events. And when you click that, it actually shows you those 8 events. It takes a while to do the query and populate the page. And when it's done, it shows you the 8 events, and it tells you stuff that makes sense. Hosted multiple infections, geographically improbable, activity from expired user, and there's the username. Brute force detected from this IP address. Here's another user named Haxor. So, I mean, that's actually pretty good stuff. Now, as far as I can tell, I can't click on anything here to get more details about these things. Although, I could add them to something called investigation, and I couldn't figure out how to actually get any good out of that. But anyway, this is already pretty good. They told me there were 8 critical things, and they explained to me in like English I can read what those things were. So that's a whole lot better than I was getting out of any of those free products. And there's more, of course. You've got notable events over time in various categories here. Access, audit, endpoint, and threat. So here's your threat events. You can see what time these threats of things happened. And I think if you click here, there's 123 threats, and I don't know if you can get any more details by clicking. Maybe you can. Incident review, waiting for data. 123 threats all happened within that one time interval. And there they are. Threat activity, ping, ping, ping. Yeah, but what does it mean? It means threat. Well, internet widgets. And if you click this, your only option is to Google this string, threat activity detected, which is not really going to help me. So I'm not quite sure how to, I can add them to investigation, but I'm not quite sure how to get any good out of them. So let's just try that. If I add a few of these and I put them in my investigation, I have an investigation I created before called Your Name 1. I was going to make you do this, but then when I couldn't make it do anything fun, I gave up. So now I've added something to an investigation, and here I've got my investigations, but I couldn't figure out how to make it do anything useful. I was hoping I could get to the raw packets involved at those events. That would be pretty nice. But as far as I can tell, you can just run around in circles here. This reminds me of forensic tools. All right, here's notable event. Well, you do get something here. So here's the event. Here, I guess, is the actual data, which is a log entry or something. So it's Mandiant package, SSL certificates, threat activity. I guess this is as close as you get to information about the event. You get a whole log entry from some tool, like, God knows, Suricata or something, giving you all this stuff. That's about as good as you get. This is why it triggered it. Threat organization matches, threat gen. I guess that's about as much as you can get to like detail. Here's the next event. So I guess I was expecting full packets, but it's mainly log data you're working with. So what I'm getting is full log entries. Yeah.
But it's also important that it works that you decide what events are important to you.
Right.
This comes with preset rules. So
right.
When you import your own configuration, you kind of would have way better understanding like what's your notable event, what other stuff.
Well, yeah, but I know what a lot of people do with Splunk is they just get things from other people. there's forums where people post them. This detects the WannaCry worm. This detects this, and people just add them like Snort.
Yeah.
They just get rules to the community often, and only the sort of ninja guys are writing their own. The rest of the people are just sort of using common ones that are recommended by other people.
Can you look at the network section? There was a section.
Yeah, there's more. Let's go back to here. So here's security posture. That's a good place to start from. And yeah, we can look at the network events. That's a good point. Let's try it. So if I go over to this thing, here's network, and it looks like I'm incident reviewing something. Network, security domain network. Okay, waiting for data. Okay, here's network events. Network change detected, unusual volume of network activity, critical, high volume of network activity. So let's investigate some of these. Let's add those to my investigation, which is a little more useful than I thought it was. Okay. And now go to investigations. And here, and here's notable events, but there's also network events, which it looks like I can go here. Source type stash. Notable event, source type stash. Network, policy or configuration change. This is a network event. User admin shut down the device from the GUI, but for some reason they interpret that as a network event. And here's another network event, posted multiple infections. So it's pretty cool. It is like Google searching the internet. You're finding these pages, which are the raw data from some sensor. And so it's not as super helpful as you might like.
It's not bad, but like Tripwire, which is more expensive paid version of like network events, they will actually show you the part that the intruder.
Oh, Tripwire will.
Yeah.
I should look into that and see if they have a free trial of the enterprise class of Tripwire. That would be good. I know the Linux Tripwire. I know what it does, but the Windows Tripwire I think does a lot more. Yeah, I should check out Tripwire. It's a good point. It might be a good thing to add to this class as a competing product. Anyway, I'm hoping to get back to the console at some point. There we are. Here's investigations. Here's security posture. And let's see what else is fun in here. But I really think this is awesome. And so does everybody else. Splunk is the standard. So then you got notable event sources. This I thought was pretty good. You got your top notable events just right here. Here's that guy with multiple infections. Here's excessive failed logins, brute force, insecure clear text authentication, expired user identities. This is really nice. And I didn't have to do anything. And this is just, and there are a bunch of people putting these panels up so you can just download them and use them for all different kinds of purposes. So, it's still considered a highly skilled activity to run this thing. And people pay a lot of money and they go to classes and get certifications. But this is pretty awesome. Somebody staring at this thing can really tell when you're doing bad things on a network, far more than I think Security Onion. Although there was someone, Mark was telling me about ELK at Lawrence Berkeley Lab. They're doing a special project with like a server where they monitor like a terabyte of data a day. Well, and that takes me back. The only problem with Splunk is it costs money. So the question is, how much money? You can do 500 megabytes of data per day for free. And after that, it costs this. You can pay once, a gigabyte per day, $4,500, or you can pay $1,800 a year, and then it's per gigabyte. Something like $1,000 per gigabyte per day, per year. So you pay $1,000, you can have 1 gigabyte per year. Pay $10,000, you can have 10 gigabytes per year, per day, per year, and so on. So people tell me in practice this can easily turn into like $50,000 a year. However, your employees cost money. Human life is somewhat valuable too. And you can ask yourself how many extra people are going to have to pay to like stare at Security Onion and try to figure out what the hell is going on, compared to having some product that actually is more automated and pretty and fun to use. And you can just hire somebody that has a credential from a course and a cert test. This is why you use something like Microsoft Office. Even if it's not perfect, it is the standard. And it's easy to find people that know how to use it. And it's easy to get help when you need help. Whereas I think it's abundantly clear to me, if you're using Security Onion and you have trouble, you might as well just beat your head against the wall. I mean, there are people posting complaints from months ago and not getting answers. So it's good for the real Linux fanatics. And probably it contains more advanced features, because the way this usually works is, the open source people invent something and they make the early version and they test all these new ideas and all this advanced stuff is in there, but it's really hard to use. And the commercial people come up behind and make something that's really like 3 or 4 years out of date, but easier to use. And so the Linux people have this attitude, we're ahead of you, we can detect this exotic thing that you can't. And it's probably true, but only if you're a super expert at running that product. Whereas the commercial products are more practical for normal people who do not have such high aspirations as to be at the cutting edge, but would rather just have a normal amount of productivity. Anyway, is there anything else fun? The glass tables are kind of cute, but didn't make any sense. Security domains. Network, let's see what I have here. Network traffic center, intrusion search. I didn't play with all this stuff, but it is all there. Network traffic intrusion search. Search is waiting for input.
Well, I think you have to specify what ideas you want to pull out.
Well, I don't know. I guess I was waiting. I do up here, I guess. It's all, I don't know. Let's try critical. Submit. There we are. Yeah. Here's critical events from DOS, Oracle, 1-byte DOS. There's 10 pages of it. It's Fortinet. The Fortinet has been detecting something. They have a Fortinet firewall in their network, and it's been detecting a DOS attack. So this is pretty awesome, and I'm pretty happy with this. It shows you what's going on. Looks like there's this whole lot of all the same here. That's what's critical. Let's try the less critical, like medium. Okay, I get predefined FTP audit, invalid reply, SSL 3, invalid data version attempt, calendar access, MySQL use DOS. Okay. This is a syslog on a Juniper. So you can see it is pretty awesome. You can find all the things that are happening on all your devices. Anyway, I think that's enough of that, and that's really all I wanted to tell you. That's the tools in Splunk and the tools in Security Onion in a quick overview, and the comparable tools in Splunk. And so I won't see you folks again in this class until November 21. All the projects are up. I'll probably add a couple more extra credits is all. And so next time, we'll talk about NSM operations, and then I've got some case histories from the book, although I may come up with a guest speaker to replace one of these, but we'll just carry on. And I'm going to keep researching Splunk and maybe other products, like I might take a look at Tripwire and see how it compares.